CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 43 of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time, we started the fifth and final case of the game, and we discovered that Holmes is for some reason very sad, which is associated with his loss of violin skills. Apparently, he can no longer play the violin. A great defeat for all of London. And anyways, let's basically try to see what we can do now. Okay, we can't move on. Can we go back up? I am not exactly sure what we're doing. Okay, we talked to Susato. What to do?
Can it really be that we've been in Great Britain for 2 months already?
Yes, it's gone by in a flash, hasn't it?
And what an English gentleman you've sort of become?
You trailed off there, Susato-san.
I'm so sorry. When I thought it through, I realized it's not at all true, actually. You're no Sherlock Holmes, Naruto. You're sad. I simply don't feel that any Britishness has really rubbed off on you.
Nor you, to be honest.
Well, that's obviously because...
Yes, I know. Without a doubt, it's your kimono. It most certainly stands out.
I do adore the attire of English ladies. It's quite delightful. But somehow, I just don't feel ready to abandon my Japanese dress just yet.
I wonder how Susato-san would look in Western clothes. That would be interesting to see. Okay, let's move out. Show him sweet. Because apparently I'm missing stuff. We talked to Sherlock. He told us about everything. He told us about the arts of pawnbroking. Does Iris have any more to say? No, she has nothing to say. We checked that. We checked this. We checked everything here. What am I missing? Ah, no, the violin. That's gonna be our next thing. So this is the violin, is it?
It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari.
Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me.
I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings.
How honorable of you.
And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Pagiani-inspired performance I have ever made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music to tolerate this blanched existence? No!
Yes, and meanwhile, just Maya, she goes to one of Clavier's concerts.
Nick!
What is it, Maya? I'm trying to tolerate the music.
It's just that I'm seeing some weird ghost detective. He's on stage next to Clavier. He's bobbing his head violently.
There is none!
Mr. Sholmes.
What, dear madam? What? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think?
Hmm? What do you mean, Mr. Sato?
Oh, Susie's right. Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different. And that's not all. I'm sure there were no cracks here before.
Wait, it's not even the right size, is it?
What is this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Then what? What is it?
It's a viola. I believe it's an entirely different instrument. It's called a viola.
What? Holmes has fallen and he can't get up.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you all right?
You're right. You're quite right. Iris, what the hell have you done? That violin was where I stored all my opium.
That's why I got rid of it, Holmesy. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to get you clean, Holmesy. Your opium addiction tearing this house apart. Iris! Now I need to find a new release! This isn't my faithful Stradivarius! So what? Bray, is this piece of stringed flotsam?
Not your faithful performing partner, then.
I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what happened if we ask her. Okay, let's ask her then. Before Holmes has another breakdown. What do you mean by a mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this violin, this viola, I mean, was at Winterbank's until last week. At the pawnbrokers.
Not Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. What was that just now?
There's a proverb from the East, with which you are not no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed.
So you sent your beloved violin to a pawnbroker in the hopes that it would experience personal growth?
Oh, what a wonderful idea!
Last week I bought my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Winterbank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. Now I'm going to kick his ass! Iris, you know those poison stamps I inherited from Mycroft after his arrest and execution?
Yes, Holmesy, they're in the back cupboard.
Good. We're sending Mr. Winterbank a letter. A letter that he shall be that will be the last thing he'll ever read. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber.
No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it had just strings.
Pshaw! A fine state of affairs is it. And why I always say, Mr. Naruto, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time.
And then, like, I can just imagine Kristoph, he's sitting at the fireplace, reading a book to Clavier. And that, Clavier, is why we do not trust pawnbrokers.
But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault.
That was before they screwed him over.
Come, Mr. Naruto. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. We're kicking some ass. Where's my great juice bottle, Iris?
Back cupboard, Holmesy, next to the poison stamps.
Thank you, Iris.
Sorry?
Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect, freshening your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced?
We must visit Mr. Winterbank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes?
Precisely, Miss Susato. Without a moment's delay, you can watch me as I kick his ass.
But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs.
My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fresh your eggs ever more obtusely.
All right, say no more. Let's go then.
Don't worry, Bruno. I'd be happy to heat up for you again later.
Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker looks like. Yeah, though, you're probably going to see it in a devastated state because Holmes is going to kick some ass, especially if he finds out that Winterbank sold his precious violin.
Damn it, Winterbank! Winterbank, that is my violin! I'm kicking your ass!
No, Mr. Holmes, please have mercy!
Mercy? There is no mercy, old bean.
And then Holmes just tosses him through the window.
Out the window you go!
A new location has been added. 2 locations have been added. Let's go to Baker Street first. Examine. Store for... Okay, let's see what we have available to search. The Pawn Brokery. Look at all the different things in that window of the shop.
Ah, that's Winterbank's, the pawnbrokery.
It looks much smaller than the pawnbrokers in Japan, doesn't it?
Yes, you're right. I find pawnshops at home rather inapproachable, personally.
It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruto. Except in that case, that's just sad.
Okay, let's see what else we have. Let's see what else we have going for us. Store for rent, closed. Yes, here's Holmes's house. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
Oh, I know! To actually be sharing accommodations with the world's greatest detective! If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret!
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Yeah, Susato has plans. She already has plenty of ideas of how to get rid of people from her Sherlock Holmes books. Okay, let's move out. Windibank's Pawn Brokery. April 15th, Windibank's Pawn Brokery. So this is a British pawn brokery.
Oh my! There are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid my eyes on before.
A horse statue? You've never seen a statue of a horse before, Susato? Ah, Susato-san. And that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this?
Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me.
And then later that day, Ryunosuke finds out that his desk has 10 times the clutter that it had before.
My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes!
We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure.
And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes.
That's right, I'm going out with the ancient Sholmes weapons. The great Bruce bottle of bludgeoning and the autoquinine stamp of poisoning. With these two weapons, you can indubitably kill a man without anyone ever proving it.
Ah, Mr. Sholmes, sir. Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back.
Oh, you're dead, man. Did you hear that brazen welcome? That poor soul doesn't realize I'm about to ruin his day. I'm going to piss on your book, your business ledger. Yeah, you better keep that book open, because I'm going to be taking a good long piss in it.
Well, yes, we are potential customers after all.
We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruto, and it's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. I will complain to the manager.
Mr. Sholmes, but he is the manager.
In that case, it'll save us some time. Come! The fight is afoot!
And then they have basically the dance of deduction, and it's basically just Ryunosuke and Sholmes doing the dance, just kicking his ass. Oh!
That's right! Spinning punch! Ryunosuke, Mr. Naruto, use your spinning kick!
Armband. Mr. Windibank, about this. Let me see. I'll give you a tuppence for it. No, I don't want to pawn it. Examine. Sorry, had a hiccups.
What are you doing, my dear fellows? We are not here to browse for interesting curios. We have come to teach this broker a lesson.
Oh, but there are just so many fascinating items.
It looks as though we'll have to talk to Mr. Windibank first before we can explore here, Miss Susato. I'm loving this already. Just Sholmes getting ready to kick this guy's ass over a violin. Really, I can just imagine Sherlock bringing the rocks, some rocks for throwing through this guy's window, and then just bring some pitchforks and torches. Violin.
Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago.
Yes!
The second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windibank, and now it shall be the weapon of your death. It shall be the instrument of your death. The next song it shall create will be the sound of your screams curdling out of your throat as I beat the life out of your carcass. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size.
A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm so very sorry, sir. Please don't kick my ass. Please don't kick my ass.
Too late! I'm kicking us!
How utterly unforgivable for me. An excusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends.
And then he just jumps out the window.
I'm shooting your ass! I shall have to take my own life.
Good. I love how Sherlock is pausing. I love how there's a noticeable pause. All the more reason this guy is related to Kristoph. Because really, this is something I could imagine Kristoph pulling. You mess with Kristoph and you're basically threatening to blow your brains out. Kristoph, he would say, no, Kristoph would be like, wait a minute, don't do it. Kristoph then goes, microwaves some popcorn, takes a nice seat, gets himself comfortable. Okay, go ahead.
I don't think that would be necessary, do you? I mean, the gun would be so loud and it'll leave a mess. Why don't you click on this autoquinine stomp instead?
If I may just say one thing before I pop off.
Ah, yes.
It was you, sir, Mr. Schultz, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe.
Sorry?
As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, here it is!
You did?
And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the violin and left, sir! However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly on my own door for allowing you to leave. I should have known you are not a responsible man! So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me!
No, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine.
You.
It would appear that the fight is over.
I do humbly apologize, Mr. Winterbank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy.
Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Sherlock without that questionable disposition now, would you?
I do believe you may be right, sir.
It's either laugh or cry, I suppose.
You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I need remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past.
Oh, peculiar items.
For some reason, that little girl who lives with you, she brought in 5 large bags of opium. In the extreme, ma'am, for example, big bag of opium, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Sherlock Holmes or such.
Oh my, a new full-fledged novel? It is mine. An unpublished, a story I have yet to read, you mean?
Ah! Forgive me!
Wait, before you die, you must tell me more.
Man, Susato is based. Susato doesn't care if this guy offs himself. Susato just wants to know what happens in the new Sherlock Holmes book. She wants to know what's happening with Sherlock's adventures. Unpublished story.
I must know more. Tell me everything.
Wow, Susato is really fired up now.
Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof?
Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see.
I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Winterbank.
For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir. Not a farthing more.
It houses something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript recounting the adventures of one Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript?
Indeed I do, for I am confident it would be quite safe here. And if it isn't, I'll kick your ass.
And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom.
Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this?
I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely.
Of course, sir, of course. They're safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life.
Never thought we'd have to talk a guy down on so many occasions. This is all very strange. Pawn Brokery. I wonder, could I ask you something?
Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that's a stable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull.
Sorry?
Aha! But for your splendid attire, ma'am, 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say.
Oh my! 5 guineas, you say? How interesting!
Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London.
Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you described. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secured storage. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned.
But what happens if they don't pay you the money?
I sell their asses. Then the items are offered for sale in my shop. As you can see on the shelves behind me.
So you never sell items before the 2 months have passed then?
That's right, ma'am. That's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all.
The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually. At least not while my stuff is here. Who would guard my stuff in that case? The rats?
Says the man who was telling us it was a good day to die only this morning.
And let's not forget that I've already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs.
Oh, what sort of measures?
I engineered a simple device which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in this shop. I call it the red-handed recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank?
Oh. What was that deep sigh about? Coming from you, Naruto? What on earth is a red-handed recorder?
Use your eyes, my dear fellow.
There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device.
Very astute. Is indeed a camera furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop.
Here, I have an example I can show you.
Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activities at the shop's counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in the darkness.
Really? That's extraordinary.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look.
So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed.
But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals?
Indeed, as you say, my dear madam.
And what if the incident were to occur in between times?
One could say that would be a cruel twist of fate.
I must confess, your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word.
It's the cost of film, sir. You most graciously placed not 1, but 2 cameras in my shop, after all, which means I must pay for nigh on 100 utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of film will break me before I'm very much older.
Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbrokery. No, all my stuff is here after all. My dear fellows, we urge on an age where safety and security come at a price.
Oh, heavens help us! Well, I'm not gonna let that happen to me! That can't kill a dead man! Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin.
Ah, the very thing! Thank you, Mr. Windibank.
Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer!
I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt.
Fear not!
Sorry?
I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed!
That's not really what I meant.
Good day to you then, Mr. Windibank.
It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes!
So, Mr. Naruto, now we can explore at last!
Which we'll do in the next episode. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer and hope you come back for the next one. If you like the video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. Without, see you next time. Bye.